For the Hamburg virologist Jonas Schmidt-Chanasit, the development in Great Britain after the relaxation of the corona measures gives hope despite the high incidence. He said, developments in Great Britain show that one cannot simply say, if we lift almost all measures, everything will get out of hand. We are now seeing exactly the opposite, and he told that to the German press agency. The situation there cannot be transferred one-to-one to other countries, he says, but that gives hope that one can achieve something through the vaccinations, that despite the abolition of almost all measures, the number of cases will decrease and that the health system will not be overloaded. On July 19th, as probably all of you know, the British government withdrew almost all corona restrictions as a part of a Freedom Day and instead appealed to citizens to take responsibility for themselves, despite the sharp rise in the number of cases. At the time, 88% of adults had received a first vaccination, almost 68% had already been vaccinated twice. The infections had declined in the following days and only recently increased again comparatively slightly. He said, but as I said, that cannot be transferred one-to-one, especially since the AstraZeneca vaccine was mainly used in the UK and more people have already been vaccinated. He therefore advised caution in Germany. And above all, it is always a political decision. Whether or not to have a Freedom Day like the one in Great Britain, we as a society have to discuss. The same applies to the demand by German music club operators for the gradual lifting of all corona requirements for their businesses by October. As a virologist, he could not decide that, but as a citizen, an endpoint would have been reached when everyone had received a vaccination offer, said Schmidt-Chanasit. It was the task of politics to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to get vaccinated and to continue to work on making vaccination offers even more accessible. But with regard to the restriction of fundamental rights, this is certainly a turning point at which one has to think carefully. Can we continue to restrict fundamental rights? Britain on Sunday reported 27,429 new cases of COVID-19 and 39 deaths within 28 days of a positive test, by the way. That compares to 28,612 cases on Saturday and 103 reported deaths. And still connected, the Eurotunnel train operator Eurostar wants to allow more trains to run again soon, thanks to relaxed travel restrictions between Great Britain and the European continent. In the second half of August, a few more trains will be used on the weekends between London and Paris, as a spokeswoman for the company told the German press agency. She said, "We will monitor the demand and add additional connections in August if that is needed." The company had drastically reduced its offer in the corona crisis due to strict travel restrictions and lockdown measures, from a total of 56 trains a day to only one connection between London and Paris and between London and Amsterdam via Brussels at times. The number of passengers collapsed by 95%. As of Sunday, fully vaccinated travelers from France no longer have to be quarantined in Great Britain. The same has been true for other travelers from the EU for a week. In the meantime, there are also reliefs for vaccinated Britons in European countries. Eurostar welcomed the changes. After the announcement, there was a sharp increase in bookings for the London-Paris connection, and inquiries on its own website had doubled, it said. A rescue package from the French state railway company SNCF, which holds the majority of the shares in Eurostar, gave the train operators some breathing space a few months ago. The company had previously warned several times that it was struggling to survive. The British government, which Eurostar has called for help, is not participating in the aid program. They had sold their shares to private investors in 2015. And now Lufthansa, TUI and others, many companies hope to return to their usual business after the corona crisis, as do their shareholders. But the increasing number of infections is creating new uncertainty. Last week, Lufthansa made it clear how shaky the situation is for many companies that have been hit hard by the corona crisis, since the beginning of 2020 and that are now gradually hoping for a comeback. Business is already picking up again, revenue and earning numbers improve, but a threatening shadow hovers over everything. The pandemic is still not over. Especially the highly contagious Delta variant of the coronavirus is causing uncertainty. Should there be restrictions again due to the number of infections, which are already rising again in many places, companies such as Lufthansa, the travel company TUI, or the card broker CTS Eventim could be hit hard and put their share prices under future pressure. As Lufthansa announced last week, it has succeeded in reducing losses with the help of increasing passenger numbers and cost reductions. In the second quarter, the adjusted operating result amounted to minus 952 million euros, according to the aviation group. The loss was much lower than in the same quarter of the previous year, when the corona lockdown caused a deficit of 1.7 billion euros. Analysts had also expected a bigger minus. So much for the good news. However, it seems uncertain whether Germany's leading airline will continue to improve. The decisive factor should primarily be the further course of the corona pandemic with the Delta variant. For example, in the USA, which has so far kept its borders closed for Europeans in view of the corona worries. According to recent reports, that could change soon. Vaccinated EU citizens may therefore soon be able to re-enter the United States. Whether this will happen is still open, and Lufthansa itself named the possible opening of the North American market as a decisive factor for its further course of business. For Lufthansa shareholders, the motto is tremble. The airline's paper went steeply downwards in the corona crash at the beginning of 2020. Since then, there has been a slight recovery. But of late, the price losses have predominated again. A Lufthansa share is currently not even worth 10 euros. The course of the tourism group TUI looks similar. Its shares also collapsed in early 2020 and recovered somewhat until a few weeks ago. Then the Delta variant appeared on the scene and thwarted hopes for a carefree summer holiday season in 2021. With Portugal and Spain, for example, two popular travel regions have now been declared risk areas again. It goes without saying that this also makes the shareholders nervous. The TUI paper has been on another decline since the beginning of June. One date on which investors will perk up their ears is August 12th, which is the Thursday of this week. Then TUI will publish its result for the third fiscal quarter and will probably also announce something about the further business prospects. It is quite possible that TUI boss Friedrich Jussen will also use the opportunity to talk about the Delta variant. Passengers on the ships of the world's largest cruise line, Carnival, can experience firsthand how much the highly contagious virus variation is affecting the tourism business, which is just awakening again. The group's ocean liners have already been on the move for a few months, and because vaccinated passengers in particular are allowed to travel with them, the situation on board has evidently lately been as if the corona pandemic was happening on another planet. From a mega ship with a 70% occupancy rate, without masks, without corona tests, and without social distance, for example, a blogger reports on the travel platform The Points Guy. However, this is now over for the time being. In view of the rapid spread of the Delta, Carnival is once again introducing compulsory masks and tests on its cruise ships. Will that also trigger a change of direction on the stock exchange? Similar to other tourism stocks, the Carnival paper has been falling rapidly since the beginning of June. A further advance of the Delta variant should lead to additional losses. The tourism industry is by no means the only branch of the economy that sees its corona comeback threatened by the ongoing virus threat. The number of infections is also being followed with concerns in the entertainment industry. Just one example, the ticket broker and event organizer CTS Eventim. The group's share lost about half of its value in the 2020 corona crash. Since then, the paper has recovered noticeably with strong fluctuations, whereby their hope of a return to normality in the event business may have played an important role. This comeback is currently once again in question, and the troubling among investors also continues. Michael Rapinoe, head of the US event marketer Live Nation, recently summed up the hopes for the industry to analysts. He said, "The momentum for return to life is increasing every month. Looking ahead to 2022 and 2023, all of our indicators point to a busy time for concerts and other live events." Live Nation shares have already recovered strongly from the corona slump and recently even listed at times above the level of early 2020. But 2022 and 2023, the years to which CEO Rapinoe referred, are still a bit long. Investors will have to tremble that long, at least. The business of travel service providers such as Uber or Lyft was also severely affected by the corona restrictions, with the corresponding fluctuations in share prices. Lyft CFO Brian Roberts recently gave customers a vivid picture of the situation. He said, "The pandemic is not over yet, especially given new virus variants and a return of restrictions in certain markets." And he told that to CNN. "The outlook for the future is accordingly uncertain and could continue to cause fluctuations, an assessment that is valid beyond the transport service industry." And I just want to repeat something to clear something up, because some people thought my birthday was now. I thought my sentence was proper, but I'm not a first language speaker, so in English, so there might be some trouble in understanding what I wrote. My birthday is this month, but it is when the discount for the shirts expires. It's not today. That's why I'm posting those posts daily at the moment. It will end then, and then you'll know. The day after. Talking about t-shirts, by the way, I get a lot of comments on the t-shirts and people asking, well, where do you get your t-shirts? If you're not watching on a desktop, I understand that, but in the end screen there's also a little picture that shows shop. If you are a premium viewer, you won't see that either. Or do you see the end screen? I don't even know that. All the shirts I'm wearing are from my shop. You can find it in YouTube itself, and there's always a link under the videos if you want to find them, and in a lot of community posts. So whenever you're saying something about the t-shirts, and people still ask where I get them from, it's from my own shop. So if you're interested, you know where to find them. Even the Ireland one, still my best seller, by the way. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.